We were started in 1995 by Louise Pace from Plymouth, Massachusetts. She still lives there. She had had surgery in 1993, and in her recovery, like she was expecting it to be quick and get back to work. She was she had high energy, like real estate agent. Like she was just like busy all the time, true businesswoman, and this just knocked it all out. And she struggled to get better to try to get back to her work. And she had all some of the classic things that people who have it too long before surgery, um, like brain fog and cognitive issues and just like the pain and the exhaustiveness. So she wanted to talk to somebody else and she just couldn't find anyone either. So I think 1993, 1994, the internet isn't really out yet. I graduated in 1995 high school. And I remember they were like, this big thing is coming. It's the internet. It's going to change your life. So I try to think about, Louise trying to, and never having this background of being on the internet. So she actually found NORD somehow, the National Organization for Rare Disorders. And she contacted them to see if there was any other patients. And they knew of two people or three people. So they all put them all in touch and they all decided to start a group. So it's a really long story of her trying to make connections, so finding some local doctors there in Massachusetts, mostly at Mass General, who were interested in being on a medical advisory board. So she started it the right way as a 501c3 nonprofit with a medical advisory board. And I think some of their first activities were just going to these conferences and being like, we need more. Like we need some sort of support. And all your patients, well, all these people you're diagnosing with Cushing's, which is probably a fraction of what's getting diagnosed today. And they just grew their membership from nothing. Very, very grassroots. It was very slow going, probably honestly until the early 2010s, maybe late aughts, when there started to be interest in developing medical therapy for our group. So that's been an interesting journey to watch. Why have so many pharmaceutical companies and scientists been interested in looking at compounds that can control cortisol? And I think we've kind of reached that point where we are realizing the non-rareness of certain types of Cushing syndrome. So right now, there's a lot of focus on that, on screening, on getting a cortisol test added to screening, so that it's normalized, it's not too rare. So our mission is to share, to aid, and to care. So there's a lot of ways to just, to read into that. Really, it's to support the patient and their caregiver first, and then it's to support the medical team that's supporting them to make sure that they know there's patient support, but also to give them some of the data that we collect, amongst ourselves, mostly about quality of life. But then also to participate in science, really, to participate in research. And so that's a big thing that we're about to embark on. I think 2025 and beyond is really going to see us involved in a lot more original quality of life research, because we are creating a patient registry. Probably the most important early thing that we do is just talk to them. That's so basic, but a lot of times somebody will call, they'll be like, "Is this the Cushing's group?" I'm like, "Yes," because they just didn't expect to talk to a person, I don't think, when they call. And if I can, I'll answer the phone. So sometimes in a matter of 30 to 60 minutes, we can turn around like a very confusing first experience with getting that diagnosis, or being the spouse of someone who just got it and they're completely overwhelmed and they're scared and they don't know what to do, and the doctor just kind of gave them a diagnosis, or maybe they just looked at their lab work. I mean, all of these things have happened. Like they've gotten lab work in, or they've read the report before the doctor has reconnected with them, and so they're just like, oh my God, what is going on? We get emails all the time from people who just got a diagnosis, or they think that's probably what it is, and they're not sure what to do next because maybe they had one test and the doctor's like doesn't, wants to rule it out. And half the time it's not rule outable yet. There's more that needs to be done, but the doctor just doesn't realize that, because just we talk about it all the time, but there's still so many doctors out there, especially those whose medical school was done maybe earlier than 2005, which is quite a few of them now. Is that this idea of Cushing is just kind of really too rare, and cortisol just doesn't come up for some reason. So that is definitely changing. So there's more people asking about other types of Cushing's. Just talking about types that don't involve surgeries. We are connected to the PAN Foundation, which is Patient Assistance Network. They help get copay assistance to people who are on Medicare. So we've started supporting this population of kind of older Americans. I mean, they're not old, but I'm talking about 50 and over, and sometimes we even talk. There's 20 or 30-year-olds that kind of pop in there. So people who are receiving Medicare, who are suddenly getting diagnosed, but they're not going for surgery because they have just kind of like a milder form that can be controlled by a medication. So this is like a new frontier. And it's going to open up a lot of knowledge and education and research about Cushing's, what Cushing's is, what Cushing's syndrome versus Cushing's disease. I feel like it's going to get a bigger kind of definite definitions, because there's going to be this one that's probably not quite so rare, and then there's still going to be the tumor type. But just staying on top of all of that, working with doctors who are completely overwhelmed with caseloads that they can't take the time they want to, just trying to figure out what can we do in this space where the US medical scene is just, it's not, it doesn't make sense right now. You have to wait 4, 6, 8 months to see an endocrinologist. You have to stay within certain, referrals. If you're not having a good day and you're not communicating well, those 15 minutes you have could be for nothing, and you just waited 6 months to see that doctor, and you're just getting worse. If you have true Cushing's, if you have a tumor, it's just getting worse every day. So I think we're in a really interesting spot right now of trying to find new solutions, not doing the same thing over and over again, but taking all this data that we've learned, in the past several decades of really looking at Cushing's at all and seeing where do we go from here. What sort of rigidities do we need to relax to understand the much more common role that cortisol and like kind of elevated cortisol plays on the impact on metabolic diseases, for example. So I'm really fascinated to see what the next year's bring. I think with our registry, we'll play a role in that. I think with our visibility and just having been here for almost 30, like 2025 is CSRF's 30th anniversary. We've been here for a minute. We didn't just show up with some weird agenda. We've been pushing for the same issues. So we're very well rooted in this space, and people are starting to want to collaborate with us. So I think that I'm not sure which part of our mission, but it's definitely, Cushing Support and Research Foundation. We've done a lot of the support, and we're still going to do that, but now we're really kind of, it feels like the right time for us to really be taking a part in the other part of it. We have a monthly support Zoom call for anybody. That's Gretchen was mentioning that it's grown in size. Like it used to be 4 to 6 people, and the last call I believe was 25. Several times a year, we have like a dinner. Anywhere we're going for a conference, we will set up a patient dinner and offer it to our members and to people on social media so they can come and network in person. We're not selling it. We don't have anything to sell. So it's really just like a peer-to-peer connect. There's always someone that's never seen someone else that had Cushing's, and I always feel like it's for that person. But we also have opportunities for them to join us doing advocacy stuff at conferences. Like sometimes we have extra passes, or we could use help in the booth, or there's something else going on they could attend. Like Global Genes has really great advocacy summits. So if we could get someone local to join us for there. So we're always trying to like offer advocacy opportunities too. We have a patient advocacy committee for anybody who wants to volunteer, maybe not sure how to get involved, so they can just kind of listen in on the work that we're doing. We hold those every few weeks, something like that. But we have a medical advisory board, 22 strong. We have a registry advisory board, which made of patients and doctors as we build our registry. And we have other opportunities. I can't think right now. We have a biennial, so every other year, a large patient conference. It ends up being international because we have people come from a few other countries. That'll be next year. And we offer several things. We help connect third parties with patients who are interested in participating in like patient voice research projects. They get compensated for their time. It's all as transparent as possible so people understand what they're doing. So there's definitely a lot of interest in this space from within and from without.
I like our in the setup of the website too. If the patients can find it, there's just so much, text and information from the start of getting diagnosed, what's next, what to expect and the recovery process. And, we want to support our doctors and the scientists and biotech partners. And, sometimes if the patients can't find us first, my hope is that endocrinologists know about CSRF, and they know that the foundation is here so that they can just automatically say, you've been diagnosed with Cushing's, here's a support foundation for you to go to. They've got a lot of information. That's kind of a miss at this point, but for the patients that do find us and they are searching for answers, we also have a directory of physicians and endocrinologists, neurosurgeons that are listed on our website by state or by country so that they know that that's kind of a patient validated source of a good physician they can go to if they're not getting the care that they need. So I just want them to find us. That's kind of the bottom line.